Welcome to the Sleep Outpost. If you enjoy drifting off to sleep with stories like this, hit subscribe so you never miss a new one. Now, settle in, take a deep breath, and let tonight's journey begin. The evening has grown quiet now, and the last pale light of dusk settles over the old university like a soft woolen blanket draped across ancient stone. You stand before the iron gate of Ashworth College, its scrollwork twisting into shapes of ivy and open books, dark metal worn smooth by generations of hands that have pushed it open just as you do now. The hinges give a low, gentle creak, not startling, but familiar, the way an old door greets someone who belongs. Take a slow breath in. Let the cool evening air fill your lungs. And as you breathe out, feel the weight of the day begin to slide from your shoulders, as easily as autumn leaves falling from a branch. Beyond the gate, a cobblestone path leads forward through a courtyard lined with elms whose branches have grown together overhead, forming a cathedral of dark leaves that rustles softly in the breeze. The last birds of evening are settling into their nests, murmuring quiet songs to one another, and somewhere in the distance, a bell tower sounds a single low note. The half-hour, perhaps, or simply the university breathing as it always has, marking time in its own unhurried way. The buildings rise around you in warm, honey-colored stone, their windows tall and arched in the Gothic style, each one glowing with a faint amber light that spills across the cobblestones like pools of melted gold. The architecture is old, beautifully, reassuringly old, the kind of age that does not crumble but deepens, the way wood grows richer and stone grows smoother with the passing of centuries. Gargoyles perch at the roofline, their expressions more whimsical than fearsome, and moss has softened every corner and every edge until the buildings seem to have grown from the earth itself. You walk slowly along the path, your footsteps quiet on the stones. There is no hurry. There has never been any hurry here. The university exists outside the rush of the modern world, in a pocket of time where the only things that matter are the slow turning of pages, the gentle scratch of a pen, and the deep, abiding silence that wraps itself around a place devoted to thought. Let your shoulders soften now. Let your jaw unclench. There is nothing you need to do tonight except walk and listen and be. The air smells of damp earth and fallen leaves, and beneath that, something warmer, the faintest trace of wood smoke drifting from a chimney somewhere above. A cat sits on a low stone wall, watching you with half-closed golden eyes, its tail curled neatly around its paws. It blinks slowly, a greeting or perhaps permission, and then returns its gaze to something only it can see in the gathering darkness. Ahead of you, at the far end of the courtyard, stands the library. It is the largest building on the grounds, its facade a masterwork of pointed arches and carved stone tracery, with a great rose window set high above the entrance that catches the last copper light of the sky. Twin lanterns flank the heavy oak doors, their flames steady and warm behind glass that has grown slightly golden with age. Above the entrance, carved into a band of limestone, are words in Latin that you do not need to translate to understand. They speak of knowledge and shelter and the quiet company of books. You climb 3 broad steps, each one worn into a gentle curve by centuries of scholars who came here seeking exactly what you seek tonight, a place of rest, a place of wonder, a place where the mind can wander freely and the body can finally, gratefully, be still. The oak doors are ajar, and from within comes a breath of warm air carrying the most beautiful fragrance you have ever known, the scent of old paper, leather bindings, beeswax candles, and the faint sweetness of aged wood. It is the smell of 1,000 stories waiting patiently to be read, and it draws you forward the way a fire draws someone in from the cold. You step inside. The door sighs closed behind you, and the sounds of the outside world, the wind, the birds, the distant bell, fade to nothing. You are here now. You are safe. And the library has been waiting for you. The entrance hall opens into a vast space that takes your breath away, though in the gentlest possible manner, not with shock, but with a slow, expanding awe that fills your chest like a deep, easy breath. This is the Great Hall, the heart of the library, and it rises around you in tier upon tier of dark wooden shelves, each one laden with books that stretch from floor to ceiling, 4 stories high. Breathe slowly now. In through the nose, feeling the warmth of this place enter you. Out through the mouth, letting everything else go. The shelves are made of mahogany, darkened to the color of strong tea by 200 years of candlelight, and the gentle oils from countless fingertips tracing spines in search of the perfect companion for an evening's reading. Brass rails run along each level, and rolling ladders stand at intervals, their wheels polished to a soft gleam, waiting to carry some fortunate soul up among the highest shelves where the rarest volumes sleep in quiet dignity. The ceiling is vaulted, painted in deep midnight blue and scattered with golden stars, a map of the night sky as it appeared on the evening the library was consecrated, so many generations ago. The paint has softened with time, the gold leaf grown mellow, so that looking up feels like gazing at the real sky through a gentle haze of cloud, the stars blurred and warm rather than sharp and cold. Candles are everywhere. They rest in iron candelabras standing on the floor, in brass holders mounted on the ends of shelves, in crystal chandeliers that hang from the vaulted ceiling on long chains, swaying imperceptibly in the warm currents of air. The light they cast is amber and golden, flickering just enough to give the whole vast space the feeling of breathing, a slow, steady pulse of warmth and shadow that soothes the eye and quiets the mind. You stand for a moment in the center of the hall, simply looking. The books surround you on every side, hundreds of thousands of them, perhaps millions, their spines in every shade of leather, deep burgundy and forest green, midnight blue and warm chestnut, faded gold and soft ivory. Some are tall and grand, their titles stamped in gilt lettering that catches the candlelight. Others are small and humble, their covers worn soft by love and use. Each one holds a world. Each one is a door to somewhere else. And tonight, simply being among them is enough. The floor beneath your feet is a mosaic of dark and light marble, its geometric patterns worn smooth and cool. Your footsteps make barely a sound as you walk forward, past a great fireplace set into the eastern wall where a fire burns low and steady. Its flames a dance of orange and deep red that casts long, gentle shadows across the reading tables arranged nearby. The mantelpiece is carved from a single piece of pale stone, adorned with the figures of scholars and muses, their faces serene, their stone hands holding stone books and stone quills. Before the fireplace, a pair of leather armchairs have been placed at just the right angle, close enough to feel the warmth, far enough to keep from growing too hot. The leather is the color of dark honey, cracked and softened by decades of use, and each chair holds a small velvet cushion in deep plum. Between them, a low table bears a brass lamp with a green glass shade, already lit, and beside it, a china cup and saucer, as though someone knew you would come and prepared a place for you. Let your breathing deepen now. Slow and easy, like the rise and fall of the firelight, you are in no rush. There is nowhere you need to be. You pass the chairs and move deeper into the hall, drawn by curiosity, a quiet, gentle curiosity, the kind that asks nothing and expects nothing, but simply wants to see what lies around the next corner. The hall extends before you in a long nave, and on either side, alcoves open between the great shelves like chapels in a cathedral, each one a small world unto itself. The first alcove holds a globe, an antique terrestrial globe as tall as your waist, its surface painted with the continents and oceans of an older world, when there were still blank spaces on the map labeled simply "Here be wonders." You trace a finger across the cool surface, feeling the raised lines of mountain ranges and the smooth plains of painted seas, and the globe turns slowly on its axis with a soft, satisfying whisper. The silence here is not empty. It is full of the patience of books waiting to be opened, full of the memories of all the minds that have wandered these halls before you, full of the soft crackle of the fire and the barely perceptible hiss of candle wax meeting flame. It is a living silence, a companionable silence, and it wraps around you like the warmest, softest thing you have ever felt. You leave the great hall through an archway at its northern end, and the space narrows into a corridor that stretches before you in gentle curves, following the contour of the building's ancient walls. The ceiling is lower here, the shelves closer together, and the candlelight seems warmer and more intimate, as though you have moved from a grand public space into something more personal. A secret the library keeps for those who wander far enough to find it. Let your eyes grow soft. There is no need to focus sharply on anything. Let the edges of your vision blur into warm shadow and simply drift forward, guided by the glow of the candles ahead. The corridor is lined with books on both sides, floor to ceiling, and between the shelves, the stone walls are visible in places. Pale gray limestone blocks fitted together with such precision that no mortar shows, just clean, cool lines of ancient masonry. Here and there, a small oil painting hangs in a gilded frame, a landscape of misty hills, a still life of fruit and old books, a portrait of a scholar in academic robes, their expression thoughtful and kind, as though they are pleased to see you passing through. The floor has changed from marble to wood, wide oak planks, dark with age and polished to a low gleam by centuries of careful tending. They are slightly uneven, as old floors tend to be, and they creak softly under your feet with each step, a sound as comforting as the settling of a house at night. Each creak says you are here, you are real, you are walking through a place that holds you gently. You notice the books in this corridor are different from those in the Great Hall. They are older, their bindings more worn, their pages thick and rough-edged. Some have clasps of tarnished brass holding them shut. Others lean against each other like old friends sharing a confidence. The titles on their spines are in languages you remember from some other time, Latin, Greek, and older tongues still, their letters curving and mysterious in the candlelight. Take a breath now, slow and full. Hold it for a moment, as you would hold something precious in cupped hands, and then release it, letting it carry away any last thread of tension you might still be holding without knowing. A window appears on your right, a tall, narrow window of leaded glass, its panes slightly rippled with age so that the world beyond is soft and dreamlike. Through it, you can see the courtyard you crossed earlier, now fully dark, the elms standing like patient sentinels, and above them, the first stars of evening beginning to appear in a sky the color of deep violet. As you watch, a drift of cloud passes across the moon, and the courtyard shifts from silver to shadow and back again, a slow, silent dance of light. The corridor turns gently to the left, and you follow it, one hand trailing along the shelf beside you, your fingertips brushing the spines of books as you pass. The leather is cool and smooth under your touch, and each book seems to hum faintly with the knowledge it contains, not loudly, not insistently, but with the quiet confidence of things that know they will endure. You pass a small niche in the wall where someone has placed a vase of dried lavender, its fragrance rising in a thin, sweet thread that mingles with the ever-present scent of old paper and beeswax. Beside the vase, a single candle burns in a holder shaped like an owl, its bronze feathers green with patina, its glass eyes catching the light with an expression of gentle wisdom. The corridor branches here, offering two paths forward. To the left, a staircase descends into deeper warmth and shadow. To the right, the corridor continues, its end hidden by the gentle curve of the walls. You choose the right-hand path, simply because it feels like the one that wants to be walked tonight, and the library seems to approve of your choice. The candles ahead flicker slightly, as though winking, welcoming you onward into its quieter depths. The air grows just slightly cooler as you walk, carrying with it the mineral scent of old stone and the faintest suggestion of rain. Somewhere above you, beyond the roof and the sky, clouds are gathering, and the first whisper of a coming shower brushes against the windows like fingers tapping gently for attention. But here, inside, You are warm and dry and held, and the sound of rain, when it comes, will only deepen the peace of this place. The corridor opens unexpectedly into a small, round room, a turret room, perhaps, or a reading chamber tucked into a corner of the building that the architects designed for no other purpose than the quiet pleasure of sitting with a book. The walls are curved, lined with shelves that follow the contour of the stone, and a single window looks out into darkness. A velvet curtain in deep emerald green hangs beside the window, half-drawn, its fabric so thick and soft that it seems to absorb sound itself. In the center of the room, a reading chair waits. It is nothing grand, a simple wingback chair upholstered in worn leather the color of tobacco, its seat cushion slightly compressed by the weight of all the readers who have curled into it before you. A knitted throw in cream and gray is draped over one arm, and beside the chair, a small round table holds a brass candlestick, its candle burning with a steady, unwavering flame and a single book. Leather-bound, untitled, its cover smooth and warm to the touch, as though it has been waiting for your hands. Settle into this moment. Let your body find its most comfortable position wherever you are resting now. Adjust your pillow, shift your weight, let every muscle find the place where it can let go completely. There is nothing to hold up, nothing to hold on to. Just rest. You lower yourself into the chair, and it receives you perfectly. Not too soft, not too firm, but exactly right, the way the best chairs always are, shaped by years of use into a form that welcomes every body. The leather is warm against your back, and the throw, when you pull it across your lap, is lighter and softer than you expected, like being covered by a cloud that has been warmed by the sun. Through the window, the rain has begun. It arrives not with a rush but with a gradual deepening, first a whisper, then a murmur, then a gentle, steady patter that covers the glass in a curtain of silver droplets, each one catching the candlelight before sliding slowly down to the sill. The sound is exquisite, a soft, continuous susurration that fills the small room with the most peaceful music in the world. There is nothing mechanical about it, nothing harsh. It is simply water meeting glass, over and over, in patterns that never quite repeat but never quite change, and your mind can follow it or not, as it pleases. The candle on the table flickers once as a draft of air finds its way through the old stones, and the shadows on the curved walls shift and dance for a moment before settling back into their gentle, swaying rhythm. You watch them move, the shadow of a shelf, the shadow of a candlestick, your own shadow, all soft-edged and warm, all part of the room's quiet breathing. You pick up the untitled book from the table, more from habit than intention, and let it fall open in your lap. The pages are thick and cream-colored, their edges rough and deckled in the way of handmade paper, and the text is printed in a typeface so elegant and clear that reading it feels less like work and more like being told a story by a patient, gentle voice. You do not need to read the words. You do not need to understand them. Simply having the book open in your lap, feeling its weight, seeing the graceful shapes of the letters on the page, this is enough. This is a kind of companionship that asks nothing of you. The rain deepens. Somewhere in the library, a clock you cannot see ticks slowly, not loudly, not intrusively, just a gentle pulse at the edge of hearing that marks time in the most soothing way, each tick followed by a silence exactly long enough for a slow breath. Tick. Breathe, tick, breathe. The rhythm enters you and becomes part of you, aligning itself with your heartbeat, which has grown slow and steady now, as calm as everything around you. Let your eyelids grow heavy if they wish. Let them drift halfway closed, or all the way, or keep them open, it does not matter. Everything here is soft. Everything here is safe. The room holds you the way a cupped hand holds a small, sleeping bird. After a time that you do not measure, for time has grown soft and elastic here, bending gently around you like the candlelight, you set the book back on the table and rise from the chair. Not because you are restless, but because the library is whispering that there is more to see, and your feet wish to wander just a little further before you settle for the night. You leave the turret room through a low doorway you did not notice before, half hidden behind a shelf, and find yourself in a passage so narrow that you can touch both walls with outstretched hands. The stone here is very old, and the candlelight comes from a single sconce mounted high on the wall, its flame painting everything in shades of amber and deep gold. The passage smells of cedar and dust, and the particular dry sweetness of very old parchment. The passage opens into a room that makes you stop and simply look. This is the cartography room, a wide, hexagonal chamber whose walls are covered not with shelves, but with maps. Maps of every kind and every age hang in frames and from rails, their surfaces covered in the beautiful, precise lines of hand-drawn geography. There are maps of continents and maps of single cities, maps of oceans with sea monsters drawn in the corners, maps of the heavens showing the paths of comets and the positions of stars. In the center of the room, a great table stands beneath a chandelier of iron and glass. The table's surface is covered with more maps, laid flat and weighted at the corners with smooth stones. River stones, perhaps, collected from some distant shore and brought here to serve this gentle purpose. A magnifying glass with a brass handle rests beside an inkwell and a quill, as though the cartographer has only just stepped away and will return shortly to continue mapping some new coast or unnamed river. Let your breathing remain slow and easy. Each breath is a tide, rising gently, falling gently, rising again. You are the shore, the breath is the sea. There is no effort in any of it. You lean over the table and look down at the topmost map. It shows a coastline you do not recognize, a long, curving shore with inlets and peninsulas drawn in brown ink, the water shaded in graduated blues from pale turquoise at the shallows to deep indigo at the ocean's heart. Small illustrations mark the landscape. Tiny trees along the ridgelines, miniature houses by the harbors, a lighthouse on a rocky point whose beam is rendered in delicate strokes of gold leaf. The cartographer's hand was steady and sure, each line placed with the kind of care that comes from deep attention and deep love of the work. You trace the coastline with your finger, following it north through a series of small bays where fishing boats the size of insects are drawn at anchor, past a river mouth where the fresh water meets the salt in a swirl of blue and green ink, and onward to where the coast turns west and the mapmaker has written, in tiny, perfect script. Beyond here, the fog is gentle and the shores are kind. The rain continues outside, a constant companion now, its rhythm so familiar that you barely notice it except as a feeling of being enclosed, protected, wrapped in sound and warmth while the world beyond does whatever the world does in the dark. You are not part of that world tonight. You are here, in this hexagonal room full of maps and dreams, and the only journey required of you is the one your imagination chooses to take. You straighten up and look around the room one more time. The maps on the walls seem to shift slightly in the candlelight, their lines and colors deepening and softening with each flicker, as though the lands they depict are breathing too, rising and falling with the same slow rhythm as your own chest, as the rain, as the flame of every candle in this vast, sleeping library. A doorway on the far side of the room leads onward, and you move toward it with the unhurried steps of someone who has nowhere to be and all the time in the world to get there. The doorway leads to a spiral staircase, and you begin to climb. The steps are stone, each one slightly hollowed in the center by the passage of feet over centuries, and the walls curve close around you in a tight, ascending spiral that feels less like climbing and more like being carried upward on a slow, gentle current. A rope of twisted hemp serves as a banister, worn smooth and warm to the touch, and you let your hand rest on it lightly as you rise. Let go of any remaining thoughts now. Let them drift away like leaves on a slow river. You do not need to follow them. You do not need to gather them back. Simply let them go and watch them float away until they are too small to see. Each turn of the staircase brings you past a narrow window, an arrow slit in the old stone, barely wider than your hand, and through each one you catch a glimpse of the world outside. The rain falling silver against the dark. The courtyard far below, its cobblestones gleaming wet. The silhouettes of the elm trees, their branches moving slowly in a wind you cannot feel. The distant glow of another wing of the library, its windows warm and golden, like the eyes of a friendly creature watching you through the rain. The staircase turns and turns. Your footsteps are soft on the worn stone, and the only other sound is the whisper of rain against the tower walls and the occasional soft guttering of a candle in a wall sconce as you pass. The air is warm, rising from the rooms below, and it carries with it the scent of wood smoke and old paper, and something else, something that might be sandalwood, or might be the particular fragrance of stone that has been warmed by candlelight for 200 years. You are not counting the steps. There is no need. The staircase will end when it ends, and wherever it takes you will be exactly where you need to be. This is the way of old libraries. They do not demand that you navigate them. They guide you, gently, the way a river guides a leaf, carrying you along the path of least resistance to the place where the current wants you to rest. The spiral widens slightly, and a landing appears. A small semicircular platform of dark wood set into the stone, with a bench built into the wall beneath a window wider than the others. This window is fitted with stained glass, deep blues and purples and golds, depicting a night sky with a crescent moon and 7 stars arranged in the pattern of a constellation you almost recognize. Even in the darkness, the glass catches some faint light from within the tower and transforms it into something beautiful, something that lies on the bench and the floor in gentle pools of color that shift and breathe with the candlelight. You pause here, not because you are tired, but because the beauty of this small space asks you to stop and be present with it for a moment. The bench is cool and smooth beneath you as you sit, and the stained glass window is close enough to touch. You rest your fingertips against it and feel the glass vibrate almost imperceptibly with the rain striking the other side. A tiny, rhythmic trembling, as delicate as a heartbeat, as constant as the tide. Breathe with it, in and out, as steady and as natural as the rain itself. You are part of this place now. The library has taken you in, and its rhythms have become your rhythms, and there is nothing left to do but rest and be and breathe. After a while, a minute, an hour, it does not matter. You rise from the bench and continue upward. The staircase makes 3 more turns and ends at a wooden door, slightly ajar, from which warm light and the smell of beeswax spill like a welcome. You push the door open and step into a long, narrow gallery that runs along the upper level of the Great Hall. From here, you can look down over a carved wooden railing to the vast space below, the fireplace still glowing, the candles still burning, the reading chairs still waiting, and the perspective is new and lovely, like seeing a familiar landscape from the top of a gentle hill. The gallery itself is furnished simply. A long reading table of dark oak runs its entire length, and at intervals along the table, green-shaded brass lamps cast circles of soft light onto the polished wood. The chairs here are wooden, with cushions of dark green velvet tied to their seats, and each place at the table holds a small brass tray with a candle, a pen rest, and a crystal inkwell that catches the light like a tiny jewel. The bookshelves up here are different from those below. They hold the special collections, the volumes that are older, rarer, more fragile, kept at this height where the air is driest and the temperature most constant. Their bindings are works of art, tooled leather in intricate patterns, gold-stamped spines, hand-marbled end papers visible where a cover has been left slightly open. Some are so old that they are chained to the shelf by delicate brass links, a practice from centuries past when books were treasures beyond price, and every volume was secured against the world's chaos. You walk slowly along the gallery, your hand trailing along the railing, looking down at the hall below and across at the shelves beside you. The height gives the space a different quality. It feels both more intimate, because the gallery is narrow, and more expansive, because the vaulted ceiling is so close above you that you can see the individual stars painted on its surface, each one applied with a tiny brush in a single stroke of gold. Let your mind drift now, the way smoke drifts upward from a candle, slowly, gently, with no direction and no destination. There is nothing to figure out. There is nothing to solve. There is only this gallery, this warm light, this rain, and the quiet company of a million pages of thought and dream and story that surround you on every side. At the far end of the gallery, a bay window protrudes from the wall, creating a small windowed alcove with a cushioned seat built into its curve. The cushion is upholstered in faded tapestry, a pattern of vines and small birds that was once vivid and is now softened to the gentlest suggestion of color, like a watercolor painting left in the sun. The window overlooks a part of the university you have not yet seen, a small enclosed garden, its paths white with gravel, its beds dark with winter earth. A single stone fountain at its center, catching raindrops in a shallow basin. You sit in the bay window and draw your knees up slightly, settling into the cushion, letting the curved glass surround you on three sides. The rain is louder here, closer, the drops striking the glass just inches from your face, and the sound fills the small space with a white noise so perfect and so complete that every other sound, every thought, every worry, every echo of the waking world is gently, thoroughly washed away. Your eyelids are heavy now. That is good. That is natural. That is exactly what is meant to happen in a place like this, at an hour like this, with rain like this falling all around you. From somewhere deep within the university, a clock begins to chime. The sound comes from far away, the clock tower that rises above the oldest wing of the college, its bell cast in bronze 2 centuries ago, and tuned to a note so deep and so resonant that it seems to come not from any single point, but from the air itself, from the stones, from the very earth beneath the building. The first chime is low and full, a sound that you feel in your chest as much as hear with your ears. It rises slowly, hangs in the air for a long, suspended moment, and then fades not into silence, but into a humming overtone that continues long after the strike itself has ended, like the memory of a sound rather than the sound itself. 1. Breathe in with the silence between the chimes. Breathe out as the next one sounds. 2. Each chime is a wave that washes through the library, moving through the corridors and the reading rooms and the spiral staircases, passing through the pages of every open book, touching every candle flame with the faintest tremor. 3. Let the sound move through you too. Let it vibrate in your bones, your muscles, the spaces between your thoughts. There is nothing to resist. The chimes are not asking anything of you. They are simply marking the passage of time, which continues whether you attend to it or not. 4, 5, 6. The chimes come slowly, each one given its full space, its full life, before the next is born. They are unhurried. They have been counting the hours at this pace for 200 years, and they will continue for 200 more, and your presence here tonight is simply one quiet moment in that long, steady rhythm. 7, 8, 9. Your breathing has slowed to match them now. Each breath is deep and easy, filling you completely and leaving you completely, the way the sound of each chime fills the library and then leaves it, making space for the next. 10, 11. The rain has not stopped. If anything, it has deepened, grown richer and more layered, as though the midnight hour has given it permission to be fully itself. A gentle, encompassing, all-surrounding sound that blends with the last fading overtones of the bells until you cannot tell where one ends and the other begins. 12. Midnight, the deepest hour. The quietest point in the turning of the world. The moment when everything that was today becomes yesterday, and everything that will be tomorrow has not yet begun, and you exist in the perfect, weightless space between them. A space that belongs to no one and to everyone, a space where the only thing that is real is this breath, this warmth, this rain, this dark. The last chime fades. The overtone lingers for a long, long time, growing softer and softer until it is less a sound than a feeling, less a feeling than a memory. And then even the memory dissolves into the rain, and the library settles back into its deep, abiding quiet. Nothing has changed. Everything has changed. The day has turned, and you are still here, still warm, still held, still safe. The candles still burn. The rain still falls. The books still wait. And you are free to rest now, free to let go of every last thing, because midnight has drawn a line across time, and everything on the other side of it can wait. You have drifted, whether in body or in mind, it does not matter, to a small study tucked behind the upper gallery. It is the most private room you have found tonight, the most enclosed, the most perfectly designed for the single purpose of being at peace. It may once have been a scholar's personal study, a place where someone came each evening to read by candlelight and think long, slow thoughts about the nature of things. The room is small, perhaps 10 feet square, with a single desk, a single chair, a single shelf of books, and a single window. Everything in it is singular, focused, reduced to its essence. The desk is old and dark, its surface scratched and stained with ink from years of writing, and in its center stands a single candle in a pewter holder, its flame barely moving in the still air. The chair is wooden, with a cushion of faded red velvet, and it is pulled back from the desk at an angle that suggests the scholar left it exactly thus and has not returned. This room is your resting place now. This is where the night brings you, gently, finally, to be still. The single shelf holds perhaps 30 books, no more. They are the kind of books a person keeps closest, the ones that have been read so many times their pages fall open to favorite passages of their own accord, the ones whose margins are filled with tiny notes in pencil, the ones that feel less like objects and more like old friends. You do not need to read them. You do not need to touch them. Simply knowing they are here, within arm's reach, is a comfort as real and as warm as the candle's light. The window in this room faces east, toward the darkness where morning will eventually come, but not for a long time yet. Not for hours and hours. The night is deep and full and unhurried, and there is so much rest between now and dawn that you could not use it all if you tried. The rain falls against the glass in a pattern that has become as familiar as your own heartbeat, and you no longer hear it as a separate sound. It is simply part of the silence now, woven into it, inseparable from it. Let every muscle in your body soften. Start at the top of your head, where tension sometimes hides without being noticed, and let it melt downward like warm honey, through your forehead, your temples, the muscles around your eyes. Let it flow down through your jaw, which unclenches, through your neck and your shoulders, which drop, down through your arms and your hands, which grow heavy and warm and still. The candle on the desk flickers once, and your shadow moves on the wall behind you, a gentle, shapeless shifting, like something underwater, like something dreaming. The ink stains on the desk form patterns that might be maps, might be constellations, might be nothing at all. Your eyes trace them lazily, without purpose, without effort, the way a leaf traces the surface of a still pond, barely touching, barely moving, simply resting on the surface of things. There is a sound you have not noticed before, or perhaps you have noticed it all along, and only now does it rise to the surface of your attention. It is the sound of the building itself, the slow creak of old wood contracting in the cool of the night, the faint settling of stone, the almost imperceptible hum of the structure holding itself together with the patience of centuries. It is the sound a house makes when everyone is asleep and only the house itself is still awake, still watching, still keeping everything safe. Your eyes are closing now. Let them close. The candlelight is visible even through your eyelids, a warm, amber glow that is the last thing you see before the darkness comes, and it is a kind darkness, a welcoming darkness, a darkness that is not the absence of light but the presence of rest. The candle burns lower. The flame, which has been your companion through these quiet hours, has grown smaller and softer, its light reduced to a gentle, golden sphere that extends no more than a few inches from the wick. It does not struggle. It does not sputter. It simply grows quieter, the way all things grow quieter when the night is deep and the hour is late and the work of the day is truly, finally done. You are not awake now. Not fully. You exist in that beautiful borderland between waking and sleeping, where thoughts have no weight and time has no edges and everything that touches your mind does so with the lightness of a falling feather. The rain is still there, always there, a sound so continuous and so perfect that it has become the fabric of the silence itself, the texture of the dark, the very substance of rest. The library is sleeping too. You can feel it, a vast, gentle settling, like a great creature lowering itself to the ground, tucking its head beneath its wing, letting its breath slow to the deepest, most peaceful rhythm. The books on their shelves are sleeping. The candles in their holders are sleeping. The portraits on the walls have closed their painted eyes. The gargoyles on the roof have turned their stone faces away from the rain and are dreaming of sunlight on old stone. There is nothing left to see. There is nothing left to hear. There is nothing left to think or do or be. You are simply here, in this small study, in this vast library, in this ancient university that has stood for centuries and will stand for centuries more. And the only thing it asks of you tonight is the easiest thing in the world. Sleep now. The rain will keep falling. The candle will keep burning, for a little while longer, its small flame standing guard over your rest the way a lighthouse stands guard over a sleeping coast. And when the flame finally goes out, gently, without a sound, the darkness that follows will be the softest, warmest, most complete darkness you have ever known. A darkness made entirely of safety and peace and the deep, enduring quiet of a million books dreaming on their shelves. Sleep now, you are held. You are warm, you are home. The corridors of the library stretch out around you in every direction, candlelit and calm, and in each corridor and each alcove and each reading room, the same deep peace has settled, the same gentle darkness has arrived. The fire in the great hall has burned down to embers that glow like small, orange stars. The stained glass in the tower catches no light now, its colors resting. The spiral staircase is still. The globe in the cartography room has stopped turning. Everything is at rest. Everything is dreaming. And you are dreaming too, dreaming of candlelit corridors and leather-bound books, of rain on Gothic windows and the deep, bronze voice of a clock tower counting the hours. Dreaming of old stone and warm wood and the scent of beeswax and paper. Dreaming of a library that holds you the way the night holds the stars, gently, invisibly, forever. Sleep now, sleep deeply, sleep well. The rain